Sonic Universe Issue 39. We start out with Commanding Storm showing Eggman that her clan is strong and they don't need to be legionized, even though cybernetics would very clearly make them stronger. As the text blurb says, Cubot has issues, which is really uncalled for since he has every reason to be intimidated by them. I'm expected to believe that Eggman still hasn't legionized the Raiju clan by now. Why would he humor her for this long? Commanding Storm says that their clan prides themselves on their strength, and to be legionized would go against their life's philosophy, and be the ultimate dishonor to anyone lesser than her. Eggman says that he'll wipe her clan off the map if it doesn't get legionized, and asks where the Iron King is. It's fortunately revealed that there's been no sign of him since we last saw him, and when he asks where Snively is, a Ninja and Commanding Storm look at each other slyly before Eggman's told they don't know where he is. I'm assuming she's lying, and I hope so because we've been building up to her having her own plans for a while. Also, we'll never get to see what those are. Eggman says he'll ask the Iron Queen where he is and leaves with Orbot and Cubot. A ninja says the Commanding Storm let Snively take the ancient armor from them hours ago, so providing an actual explanation for where he got the armor still feels like a Deus Ex Machina since it happened off screen, out of nowhere. And she replies that was in the past. Over on Stormtop Village, where the Queen is stored for the ultimate karma, one of the floppy-eared rat people pointlessly feeds her, lampshading that she's lucky Li Yun is gracious enough to not refill the well like he wants. I'm glad his design isn't as terrible as the previous mouse people who looked like humans with rat ears, but I still don't like it. Just then, Snively removes his invisibility and actually meets up with the Iron Queen face to face, saying, "I'm afraid he came down with a bad case of unconsciousness. T?" I'm surprised they let him actually get this far. The Iron Queen asks him angrily what's going on, even though it should be obvious to her. And Snively lampshades that it should be obvious that he's rescuing her, so at least it's kind of self-aware, but she still shouldn't have been written to ask that in the first place. The Iron Queen responds to his help by hitting the tea tray away and screaming at him that Snively left her and went right back to Eggman, failing to stop the Yagyu and Leonida and Nicole, though she should know that's not his fault. How is he supposed to prevent any of that? She yells at him that she doesn't care what his plan is, because the minute it goes awry, he'd go crawling back to Eggman. Out of complete nowhere, she says that she'd rather rot in the well than have Snively disgrace her again. This really strange, unprecedented writing decision is the writer's Deus Ex Machina excuse for not having the Iron Queen come with them. I was expecting that he never gets to even talk to her, but that'd be too good writing. He leaves, but says that he can do this for her, and the Lion Elder says that the villagers will go to the temple as Eggman attacks, while the village guard will go to the town square. When they get approached by some robots, the Lion Elder says he'll stall them while Li Yun runs, but fortunately Khan shows up to save the day and tells Li Yun to call everyone back to the temple because he'll protect the village. Eggman's surprised seeing Khan here, and Orbot says that according to the files on him, he has a soft spot for Sally. Wait, how did they get those files in the first place? When he was with Sally, every time that he showed he had a crush on Sally, Robotnik wasn't around. This causes Eggman to summon Metal Sally on him. I'm surprised we get to see her like that. But they do seem to be dragging out as far as they possibly can so that we can see everybody's reaction to her. I don't think we saw the Chaotix see her like that. And once again, Khan is way too quick to jump to the conclusion that it's Sally and not just assume that it's a robot based off her. Eggman is told right away where the Iron Queen is, and he decides to put the villagers into the handful of prison eggs they brought and start burning the village arbitrarily, which Orbot says isn't very sportive when a robot with no free will should have no problem with it. Khan wastes time trying to tell a robot with no free will to suddenly have free will, which this is really getting tiring by this point. And Eggman jokes around with the Iron Queen, "Regina, you're looking well." I love her response. Hilarious, Doctor. That's more giggle-worthy, seeing her sarcastic like that. I wish her every line was like that. Eggman tells her that of all his sub-bosses, he could tolerate her taking his throne most of all, because at least she's a human, and even has an interest in machines. Also, if he says, he has a throne, why doesn't he just call himself King Robotnik? Then he tells her that he's glad her people think technomagic is a lost art, because he demonizes magic for no reason, when this has always felt forced because you'd think he loved magic from taking advantage of Chaos Emerald to bring Soul his life. As Khan uses his lightning in a creative way by using it to paralyze Metal Sally, The Iron Queen, who has a pillow because Lee Yoon's a softie, says that Snively's not here. Out of nowhere, even though Metal Sally's clearly being paralyzed by the lightning, she's still able to fire a laser that damages her and depletes all of her energy anyways. Eggman says that her reserve power will keep her running for a few minutes, but after that, she's dead. Eggman says that she doesn't run on batteries, even though he just said she had reserve power, which would require a battery. Eggman says that what Sally needs is rings, but for Han to give him one, he'd have to put up with giving up his advanced powers and becoming prone to be controlled again. First off, he can find any ring just fine to replace it, and second, what? Why the hell haven't any of the heroes found a magical ring to restore her free will like Jules and Bernie, or even wish her back to normal outright? Considering how easy rings are to come by for Sonic, you'd think they would have done that already. Sure, it'd be too convenient, but Deus Ex Machina or not, the comic is blatantly ignoring solutions that have already been firmly established to be a part of the comic's world, from portable deroboticizers to regular old rings that Eggman has not modified to not give her free will back. Her still being like this is the definition of force, and the fact that they're mentioning rings in the context of Metal Sally just makes the fact that they're not being used for the obvious solution all the more frustrating. It's just, and not to mention the fact that it says that he's giving up his advanced powers when he has his advanced powers because he's a cyborg and was always having lightning powers, even from the beginning. This is just terrible writing, forcing the arc to go on and on as artificially as possible. Sonic doesn't need to be the one to save her, even if it would be most climactic. It could have been Khan. I mean, Antoine's father as a robot was taken down by some random Albionians. Let's apply that to Metal Sally. Nobody would care. Especially considering how long the comic issues apparently took to come out, which made the Mecha Sally arc feel even more dragged out than it would have been if it had come out in issue A. She could be rescued by some non-freedom fighter too. But no! Flynn is blatantly ignoring the elephant in the room to keep going the story concept he's in love with so much. This is worse than the Chaos Knuckles story arc was in terms of padding, because it's not like there were multiple different ways and multiple different points at which Knuckles could have been brought back to normal. Something happens to get their attention, and Orbot wonders if someone activated a piece of the region's ancient, inexplicably abandoned tech. I say inexplicably really clearly because, come on, if it had that kind of tech, you'd think that whoever found it would find it and would completely take over the region with it. You'd think Commanding Storm would have found it by now. But anyways, he says that because all the units are accounted for. Then a giant robot shows up and comes to save the Iron Queen, who actually cries, saying, "You came back! This is really all for me?" If she refuses him after this point, this would be the definition of a narrative cheat. Aww, they kiss! Too bad there's no way they're going to be allowed to stay together permanently. Even though having them fight Eggman together for the rest of the comic would be way better of a story arc than the Metal Sally one. This issue is by Ian Flynn. There's one excellent thing about it, and one terrible thing about it. At first I thought Snively wouldn't even make it to the Iron Queen to talk to her. Then she has a really strange characterization decision where she'd rather rot in a well than escape with him, which no one would ever decide to do. It's not like she's regretful of her actions or anything. And just when I was ready to totally dismiss this as a stupid excuse for not coming back, we see that she does take Snively back when he gets an ancient robot to save her. So why the hell didn't he just do that in the first place? Why didn't she find the ancient robot? Did she? That did nothing but waste our time. And now for the terrible part. Why the hell doesn't anyone just use a ring to wish Sally back to normal? Or at least wish that she has free will, which works just fine for Jules and Bernadette. I get that maybe Khan's too stupid and uneducated to know that he can do any of that with his ring crown, but, well, Sonic blatantly wished him out of brainwashing as recently as 200s, right in front of him. So you'd think that he would know that he can wish upon rings. So many obvious solutions get ignored and ruled out. The fact that the rings are brought up around Metal Sally at all, just to be suggested as a way to help her in a totally different way, is just tone deafly ignoring the elephant in the room. And while Flynn's issues are a lot more fun to read as a whole than issues of the other writers, like mainly due to the dialogue being better, although the better art tricks your brain with that, it's times like this where I have to wonder why he's seen as infinitely better than writers like Penders when he makes all of the same mistakes and then some. He's a little better, he's not as... No, forced concepts are basically plot holes, never mind. But at least the other writers never stooped to stuff like forcing Sally to be a robot for the rest of the comic despite all logic.